Good evening, friends. Welcome to the Leader's Edge, Episode 1, Season.
Everyone, and welcome to our weekly webcast called The Leader's Edge. We are here tonight.
Welcome to episode number 7, season
Leader's Edge. And in our show today, which is Season 6,
Leader's Edge, Season 3, Episode 10. And
I'm Nelson T. Welcome to this super special episode of The Leader's Edge.
And this is episode 8 of season 6.
Hey guys, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
We are now on our season 6, episode 2. And tonight, we have an amazing and a wonderful
Good day, everybody. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 5 of The Leader's Edge. Today, we are so pleased to have a special guest, and not just a special guest, but a special friend, somebody who I don't even look at as a client, but as a friend. We have none other than Jose Magsaysay, who is going to talk to us about how disadvantages strengthened him. Now, many of you probably know Joe as the co-founder of Potato Corner and an investor in The Final Pitch. You know, I did love that show when it was still airing. And he is really all about entrepreneurship and franchising ideas and best practices. Joe Mag is also somebody who likes to challenge the status quo. He doesn't like staying stagnant, and you should see it in the many facets of his life. He's a very talented, award-winning archer, a motocross bike rider, and many other things. I mean, anything that grabs Joe eventually becomes something he gets good at, because that's what he likes to do, to push himself, to challenge himself. So without any delay, let's all give a warm welcome to Jose Magsaysay. Joe, please join us.
Hi, Dino.
Hi, Joe. Was there anything that I missed in how I introduced you? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Maybe something new that's happened in your life so far?
No, that challenging the status quo takes care of everything.
That's cool. All right. So I would like to start our show by the way that I normally start it with all of our guests. You know, we start at the beginning. So Joe, because adversity is part of life. I mean, nobody can get away from it. You know, the moment that we're born, our parents struggle to try to deliver us safely. And then when we take our first breath, that is the first struggle to become alive, to be. So Joe, for you, what would be your struggles? I mean, you know, it must have started early in your life, because it made you what you are now, somebody who is not afraid of challenges, somebody who is not fazed by setbacks. What shaped you? I mean, how did life begin for you?
Well, from my own perspective, life was a series of disadvantages all throughout. And I think those disadvantages were the ones that really, looking back, really helped me get to where I am today. For example, my father died when I was a teenager. So I was forced to continue studying by the help of my uncle, who paid for my studies. And then, of course, I had to work because I was a scholar of my uncle, but only for the tuition, and I didn't have any allowance for food, for transportation. So I found a way to get by. And those times I didn't get by, like for example, from Taft to I home, sometimes I take 4 buses, and then the last mile would be walking about 30 minutes home. The 4 bus, why buses, people will realize why 4 buses? Because I didn't have any money to pay for the bus, so I'd stay beside the door, the estribo. And then when the conductor came close, I go down, take another bus, then the estribo again to the door. Then until usually it takes me about 4 rides to get to Cubao. Then from Cubao I go home. So those are the kinds of things that I had to. So that disadvantage of not having any allowance for transportation, for example, taught me how to improvise or get by without having. And that's actually a training already from there. And then if I didn't have any meal to eat, then eggs and a piece of egg, raw egg before in a sari-sari store was about 2 pesos. I don't know how much. I don't know how much. I don't. I don't know anymore how much eggs are per piece. I think it was even cheaper than 2 pesos. Maybe it was maybe 1 peso before in the sari-sari store. So that was 2 meal. A raw egg. I just asked for a piece of a pinch of salt from the sari-sari store owner, and that was meal for me already. So living frugally was what. So that disadvantage of not having an allowance taught me how to live frugally, taught me how to be thrifty, and taught me how to improvise. So that's the part.
So, ladies and gentlemen, especially to our international viewers, what Joe described is in Tagalog what we call discarte. In other words, he found a way. He didn't have enough fare. He found a way of getting to school and getting home. He didn't have enough money for food. He found a way. And while many people might be depressed and feel disadvantaged by not having enough resources, Joe, like many people who have succeeded in life, took these disadvantages and made them growth opportunities, to learn how to survive, to learn how to get by. So that's incredible. You lost your dad as a teenager. So I'll digress just a little bit. Did that impact you in a strong way, to lose a strong father figure in your life? I mean, your uncle was very supportive, but how did you deal with that? Because in essence, you had to shape who you were, which is another adversity in itself.
Well, I had that part I had an advantage because I had a strong mother. So my mother took some slack of some of that part. But of course, losing a father is challenging at that age, no. And my and my and I like honor or applaud people who have lost their parents even at a younger age and managed to get by. So I'm amazed by people like that. So growing up, of course, I mentioned that I just found a way to get by. Then during college, found a way to earn some money by working part-time at Wendy's. So but being a working student is really difficult. And because I was a working student, and because it was so difficult, I mean, some of the difficulties were, I had to sleep in the store at Wendy's Makati, Park Square Makati, sleep outside the store at night, then wake up, take a bath in the kitchen when nobody was there yet, just a few people. And I didn't wash any of my uniforms in Wendy's for about a week. So I only washed them once a week, wore the same clothes. So at least the smell of hamburgers and fries hid all the stinkiness of not washing clothes for a week. So woke up, took a bath at the store, went to school for my 7:30 class, then go back to work for the night shift, and sleep. Then that was the routine. It was a routine. But because it was so difficult, I ended up sleeping at class, especially during the first 2 subjects. So I lacked sleep. Then because of that difficulty, I ended up not feeling not finishing college, and because there was an opportunity. Uh, I was the manager then asked me at 20s, Joe Mag, would you like to become a full-time employee? And because I didn't know where else to go at the time, and at that time, earning a little so that I could help myself and help my mom, I chose to be a full-time employee and dropped off from school. So at the time, that was to me the right choice. And then I worked full-time until I stayed almost 10 years at Wendy's.
Well, that is a long time, and essentially what that was the start of a career in the food business. Because as a young man, you found a way to feed yourself with raw eggs, which, by the way, isn't entirely bad because even prize fighters drink raw eggs, for the protein and the B complex in the yolk. So at that early age, you were fortifying yourself. And then later on, you went with becoming a working student. So I imagine there were moments, siguro, na your professors noticed that you were dozing off because you were so tired. And you may have been teased by some of your classmates. But let me just tell the viewers right now, if you have classmates, if you have friends who are falling asleep because they are working students, guys, instead of laughing at them, show them respect. Because like Joe, that is what we call the school of hard knocks. It is teaching them a valuable lesson about nothing in life is free. You have to work for it. And Joe's life is a clear example of that. So Joe, from Wendy's and becoming a store manager, how did that transition into becoming an entrepreneur? In other words, because I'm sure resources were still limited at the time, and borrowing money must have been something like a distant star. So you got your another break, I suppose, at that point.
Well, entrepreneurship didn't started even when I was at Wendy's. So what happened, because I felt I didn't have enough, and so I did add things during my stay at Wendy's. I used to buy personal accessories or appliances for my co-employees and then sell them at an installment basis. So anything from wristwatches, electric fans, televisions, and that's the start really of what I started about entrepreneurship. So it must like a trading and hulugan or installment business. But what I found out, it was difficult to collect money on installment. So during the day, I go there, talk to them, or visit them during payday, so that to make sure that I get paid. Otherwise, I will not get paid. No? Then the other thing is towards my ending at towards my last years at Wendy's, I started buying empty French fry cartons at some Wendy's stores. Bought them before at 50 centavos per piece. And then when I had enough to fill one whole carload, I'd go to Bulacan and sell it at the junk shop there for about 1 peso per piece. So that really helped. But of course, my car that time smelled like pneumonia because the storage of French fries before, the cold storages of French fries were disinfected with ammonia before.
Oh, I see. But clearly, what this is showing us, Joe, is that even at that time of your life, you were full of great ideas. You were able to follow through on this. And one other quality that I'm beginning to notice in your story is that you certainly did not suffer from, say, an attention deficit situation, because you followed through. Collecting from people is not easy. That meant that you had to foster good relationships with your customers to make sure that extracting their payments became as painless as possible. That's amazing. So you're learning along the way, not just becoming an entrepreneur. You were also learning human relations, and you were also learning about diversification, skill sets that you learned apparently on your own, because these aren't things that they teach us in school. You had to figure this out by yourself.
Yeah, you
What?
know, I never thought I would be in the food business or in the franchising business because my my major in college was communication arts.
Mm,
So but I still like film up to now. I still like photography. So those are still my passions, and I still consider myself a student of film and photography up to now. But there's some things that sometimes you cannot choose. I just got the lowest hanging opportunity possible, and that was Wendy's at the time. And I ended up in the food business, and I'm thankful to my bosses at Wendy's for the opportunities they gave me. And in spite of my not being a college graduate when I joined full time, I was my career was developed at Wendy's. I was promoted and promoted in spite of my not having college degree. But that disadvantage of not having a college degree, was I think one of the things that made me work harder because I always thought never had I don't know what's karapatan in English,
oh, karapatan means right, or
Yes.
the right to. Yeah.
Okay. I felt I didn't have any right to as the ones who graduated or were graduated from college. So I just tried to work harder than all of them. And this got me, and this disadvantage of not having a college diploma, I think helped me, was the one that forced me to work harder so that I could be noticed and I could be seen as somebody. And the thing that I share a lot is to be a person that you can count on. I think that's the branding that everybody needs to build on, to be a person who can be counted upon or can be counted on.
And you certainly do project that, because still remember your stories about how you have such a strong sense of empathy, which is amazing, because having gone through so much adversity in your life, one would think that that would have created within you, say, a very low tolerance for people who complain even with the slightest difficulty. But instead, it seems to have created in you a very strong sense of empathy for people who are struggling. Um,
I cannot say how important empathy is. I cannot say more about how important empathy is. I just shared today in my Facebook page about kindness.
yeah.
One of those things there was do not uh, do not uh, do not see my kindness as a weakness. In fact, kindness sometimes people see kindness or associate kindness with weakness, but no. In fact, kindness is actually a strength.
Mhm. That's true. Even the Bible says there is no defense against kindness. If somebody's trolling you online, or if somebody is being mean to you in real life, they expect you to reciprocate in turn by being mean to them as well. But when you do something nice for them, something kind, the Bible says it's like putting hot coals on their head. They simply don't know what to do because they weren't expecting it.
To me, unkind people have issues, and
Yeah.
I think that issues on self-esteem.
Oh, that's so true. And so moving forward in your life, once you established the business and you were doing what you were doing, and as you pointed out, your passion was really in film and photography, and so you had to set that aside. Um, a question I'd like to ask of you, because this was mentioned by Serili Alcaraz, like some successful people, especially those who are really in it for the long haul, have found their ikigai, which is like a Japanese term for people who have passion for what they do. They're good at it. they can get paid for it, and the community needs it. Would you say that the years that you spent in Potato Corner managed to answer those four questions? This was something you were good at. Yeah, check. This was something that the community needed. Everybody needs food. Check. This was something you could get paid for. Oh, definitely. Anyway, check. And yet, was your passion also there? Did it eventually grow? Did you eventually grow into becoming passionate over that?
Dino, one tip: if you wanna go into entrepreneurship, I think as young as possible, start knowing the business of trading. I mean, your baon that your mom gives you, or sandwiches, or your lunch, sell it to your classmates. Start selling it, and then or barter it with something else. Then start trading. Then trading is a very basic form of entrepreneurship, and I think everybody who masters trading will master any business in the future. Now, for your question about in relation to kindness and moving forward, my core has been sharing and giving. That's who my core is, and it's because of that it's easy for me to partner with others, because I immediately trust anyone. To take somebody for them to do something to me, for me to lose their trust on them, but immediately for anyone, I trust everybody 100%. And I think everybody deserves that kind of trust right away. Of course, you can do your due diligence about a history of being not somebody you can trust. So my core being giving, sharing always led me to where I am, sharing the profits of our business, sharing what we have, and coaching others, mentoring others. I think it's very important. It comes naturally. It's not work for me. Running the day-to-day business is not work for me. And empowering others to help you do your business is not work for me. It's actually makes everything easy for me, and I'm just happy about helping people and sharing what I have. I mean, for example, I don't know if I've shared with you before. A few years ago, before the pandemic, if you do the numbers, if you look at Potato Corner the way it is, Potato Corner is 80% franchised. 80% of the stores are franchised, and we can afford, because of our financial capacity now, we can afford to actually put everything company owned. But in spite of that kind of opportunity that we can do, make all stores company owned, we still continue to make 80% of our stores franchised. Well, at least until I'm here. I don't know, of course, there'll be new owners of Potato Corner soon. But as far as I'm concerned, we still did, and my current partner still did 80% franchise, because we want to help. Part of the core values of Potato Corner was extended from my own core, which is giving and sharing and entrepreneurship. So because we've shared, you know how much we've shared if you quantify that in absolute amounts? Approximately, we've shared 300 million pesos in profits that could be ours alone. But instead, we shared it with our franchise partners. And that's okay. We're happy that our franchisees, our fellow entrepreneurs are happy. So I hope Potato Corner continues that, because I will continue that on my own after my life in Potato Corner.
In other words, for you, the win-win proposition definitely is a win. One thing I'd like to share with our viewers, as well as with you, Joe, is my observation that you are such a consistent person. Because when you talk about wanting to share, having a strong heart for others, this isn't just for, say, people who want to create a franchise. I've seen this even in your family, where you care so much for everybody that um, you will spend time, you will invest time in them. And I love the fact that when you took up archery, your wife took up archery as well. When you took up motorbiking, she became a motorbiker as well. I mean, that's love. you know, you did everything together, and wow, so that kind of partnership, that kind of support, I'm sure has also been the wind beneath your wings, helped you to soar farther and stronger. Um,
No, I will not take credit for that. Where Ines, my wife joined me for
yeah,
archery, sailing, biking, and those other sports. That's Ines's credit to Ines on that, because for Ines, being with me is very important. That's why when I do archery, she does archery. When I do sailing, she does sailing. When I do dirt biking, in fact, one time I asked a question, because I'm a extreme introvert by nature. So if you look at the sports I do, they're all for one person.
yeah,
Sailing, golf, but golf not anymore. But
yeah.
sailing, dirt biking, and archery. Then I noticed that she keeps on doing the same thing also that I do. Then I asked the question, Ines, you know, I like to be alone. Then why are you also doing the same thing I'm doing?
Yeah.
Then we had that talk, and then she said, I just like to be with you. And that's okay with me.
Wow.
And so the part of who I am really is Ines. And she found a way to make time with me, but even if it's not probably not comfortable with her, she's doing also what I do. And that's good. And thank you to Ines for that.
Yeah, I'd like to also credit you and Inez for another aspect of your life, another adversity that you surmounted. I do know that you have been through so many physical challenges, um, and that you've even had some surgery that you went through. How crucial, how powerful was Inez's support during those times when you were recovering, when you were going through that medical struggle?
Oh, she was really pivotal in everything that helped me. Not for her, I'd probably not be talking to you.
Yeah.
But I have
Oh,
a lesson. I learned a big lesson from all my health issues. Um, being maybe an introvert, and if you look at how I did things before, it was just I didn't count on anyone to help me. I did everything by myself, and then I learned because of that those brain surgeries that I had. I learned that you have to let people take care of you, and that was very significant in what I learned. It's okay to let people take care of you or help you. I didn't know that. I thought that was wrong. And now things are clear now because I'm open to anyone helping. It's okay. It's okay for anyone to help you. And I think it's also a strength for letting other people help you.
wow. So what you're describing now is two types of dichotomies, two types of mindsets. One is, on the one hand, there is Joe, who has a big heart and would like to help other people, other entrepreneurs, support great ideas. And yet there's also that part of you, Joe, that is willing to let other people help you. Uh, a realization that came to you because of that particular adversity in your life. Um, I remember you were talking about someday retiring at 55, and looking for the spark that would make you feel excited again, and like supporting good ideas. Is that still part of your dream? Is that still there as part of what you'd like to do?
Oh yeah, of course. That's still part of it. When I was what happened was when I was 55 or 54, I have an executive coach. And I think in my advantage, my unfair advantage, maybe call it an unfair advantage, because of my disadvantages, I felt I needed always to learn. I keep on studying. I have a master's degree. I continue to study and look for other things that I can learn from, in spite of not having a college diploma. So I was able to find a way to get a master's degree in spite of not having a diploma, college degree. So that helped a lot. Now, so continuing to learn helped me a lot. And then because of those connections, the networks I built, and because of my core, which is giving and sharing, when I was 54, I asked my executive coach, potato corner will not be there for me forever. It will be definitely my pension plan. Eventually, I'll exit potato corner. The plan is to make potato corner my pension plan, so that when I exit, the last part of my life will be taken care of. But so the 54, I asked my executive coach, what will I do now? Then you know what my executive coach said? Joma, this is what you do. You're 54 now. You have a 6-way runway to hit 60. Use that 6-year runway to start something new that will take the place of potato corner when you decide to exit from potato corner. And the timing was right. I was 60 last year, but I'm still 60 until February. So I used that runway to start developing partnerships and other businesses with other partners. It's still sharing, it's still giving, it's still working with partners up to now.
Joe, if you're still ever interested in learning about video editing, sound editing, I'm self-taught. I had to learn how to do it on my own through 7 seasons of The Leader's Edge. I'd be very happy to teach you what I know, so that you can create your own videos, you can create your own episodes. And if you're into photography, stitch it together so that you could create wonderful montages and shows. Be glad to help you there, definitely.
Sure. Thank you.
Mhm. So Joe, because it seems that being a person who can leave a lasting legacy seems to be very important to you. I mean, you've gone through from one end saying that, the college degree, while important, is not the end all be all, because you've proven with your life, just like Elon Musk, Branson with Virgin Airlines, the founder of Facebook, Zuckerberg, all of you have proven that you can succeed if you're driven by a vision, when you're driven by a desire to succeed. And yet, this is not to tell our viewers, especially those who are struggling with school online, hey, stop studying and just go into business. Well, yeah, that could work for you the way it did for Joe, but look at Joe. He continued his education. He studied. He took up his master's so that he could become even better than what he is. So, okay. So, yeah, we were briefly cut off. But, my point is that Joe is a firm believer in continuous learning. He has this growth mindset that Carol Dweck describes. And he has this passion for being creative and innovative that Shirley Alcaraz described. So, yeah, okay, there you go. So Joe, because you do possess that growth mindset that Carol Dweck describes and Eric described in his interview, and you are definitely somebody who is innovative and creative, as Shirley describes in her interview. What does the future hold for Joe? what parting words would you like to share with our future entrepreneurs, with people who are struggling with resources and finances, adversity, as it were? How should they look at that?
Oh, now there's so many people who can coach, who can mentor. Just reach out to someone that you want to be, and it's no bother to just. You will never find out if they will help you or not until you ask. You know,
True.
when we had to restart Potato Corner in 2001 because our company survived the Asian economic crisis in the late 90s. We almost closed. There were just a few outlets left. Then when I returned to manage Potato Corner in 2001, first thing I did was organize again the top level, which is the board. And you know what we did? I asked my gurus in Asian Institute of Management if they can sit in my board. And it was because of that that we were able to take Potato Corner, regrow again Potato Corner, and then take Potato Corner to another level again. So imagine if I didn't ask my gurus to sit in the board, the Potato Corner will probably not be what it is today. And a lot of my classmates or my friends tell me, how did you get those guys in your board? They're probably more expensive. There's probably the say no. And then they were surprised when I told them what the deal was, what I paid them. And it's all reasonable and all worth it. And every time your gurus or your mentors sit in your board, it's like a classroom every time you have a board meeting. And it's always moving forward. It's not stagnant because if it's just you, maybe you and your partner, you will just be stagnant. It's very important to work with consultants, mentors, or coaches because they have a bird's eye view of what you're doing instead of working with yourself inside a forest.
So what you're saying then, Joe, is that be willing to look for those who know more and making the effort. Just try to ask. If they can always say no, but if they say yes, then wow, right? So on behalf of our viewers and my co-host, Joe, I'd like to thank you so much for taking time. I know that these days Zoom meetings are so tiring already. People complain of Zoomatitis. It's a thing. But we do love the fact that you took time to be on our show as our episode 5 guest. So on behalf of our audience, thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you, Dino. I'll never get tired of talking to you.
Thank you so much. That it's so nice to hear that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as ever, on our next episode, we will take off on a totally new tangent. We will be inviting Eli B. Africa, an alumni of UP Diliman College of Fine Arts, who is now a very successful filmmaker based in the United States, who will be talking about the happiness in the pursuit of success. So instead of say the pursuit of happiness, which can be very frustrating, Eli will be talking about how he found happiness in his pursuit of where he is now. So as ever, if you like this show, click like and subscribe, and remember that learning is a never-ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day, everybody.